All right, so let's get on to our films of the week. How many umpteen movies did you see this week, David?
I think it's been a little bit of a slower week for me.
Thank goodness.
Um, uh, two, three, four,
Oh, well, there you go. Already five.
like nine, maybe.
Oh God.
Now, two of them I watched with the kids,
Hmm.
um, which I think might go back into maybe our horror for children
Yeah,
discussion that we've talked about discussing.
yes, I do. I really want to do that list because I want to get my kids into horror, but the right way.
I think I found two really good ones, and I was really I'm not going to mention the ones because we'll talk about it later. But
Yes, yes, good.
um, my 5-year-old son Lennon, um, he always asks me for scary movies, um, and it's like, what the heck do I show this little guy? And he wants to see Chucky and stuff like that. And um, to tell you the truth, it's the profanity that bothers me more
Yes,
than anything,
yes.
because he's at that age where he'll just keep on repeating it, and and I'm not the type of father to say don't ever say that. It's more like please don't ever say that in school.
Yes, yeah, we say that too. We don't, if he says it at home, if it's an accidental thing, we say, oh, don't say that, don't say that. Uh, it's a biggest thing, like, yeah, if we hear about it at school, or if he says it in anger, which that's something new for him. Because he heard it, he knows he's not supposed to say it, and he'll say it when he's angry at us. And that just sets me off. I'm like, what did you just say?
And see, my 5-year-old son, he's a jokester like me, so he likes calling people butt cracks, and so he just
Yeah, yeah.
that's his new thing. He calls everybody a butt crack, and I don't know if I want to add more language to his repertoire.
That's funny.
But I found it made me so proud. We watched this one film, and it's a film it's a film everybody knows. But he came to me and he's like, "Daddy, I'm scared. I like
Oh,
it."
oh.
And I was like, "Oh my god, I love this kid."
Did you do it without breaking breaking a stare? He was just
It was
staring at
he
you.
was
I
just like,
like
I'm scared. I like it.
it.
Like he liked the adrenaline rush that he got from being scared.
That's fun. Maybe he'll love roller coasters.
Yeah, and it's like, oh my god. I mean, I guess I was probably maybe a little bit older than him when I got a lot into horror, but I watched Gremlins and stuff like that, which is I guess not too much far removed from what I showed him. He's seen
Mm,
Gremlins, but the film I showed him, I tried to show my daughter before when she was probably 7,
mm.
and she couldn't watch it, and he loved it. We watched The Conjuring,
Oh, that wasn't what I
which
was expecting.
is rated R, which should never been rated R.
It
There's
really didn't need a rated R, yeah.
there's no gore, there's no
Mm-mm.
profanity, no nudity. So it's rated R just from the tension.
Yeah, trying to think, why was it R? Nobody gets stabbed or like no, that was pretty clean.
I mean, you see a woman hanging from a tree.
Oh, that's nothing. Sinister had hanging people. That wasn't an R, was it?
Yeah, Sinister is probably definitely an R, but there was other
No.
stuff involved. And we watched Insidious, which are both James Wan films.
Mm.
We watched the first Insidious, which is PG-13. Um, which this I feel Conjuring should have been PG-13. I don't know how Conjuring got a R, but Insidious got a PG-13 because
Someone paid a little more for that.
yeah. But Insidious is a little slower to start with. Have you seen that before?
Yeah, yeah, I've seen the whole trilogy, right? There's 3 of them.
Yeah, the we watched the first one. It was so funny because the shot where because they're both starring what's his name, Patrick.
Patrick, I want to say not Patrick Stewart. Oh my God, I've had to say this name so many times this week.
Patrick Henry.
Patrick. No, it's a simple second name. Patrick White, Patrick Lane.
Yeah, but he stars in both of them by the same director, which is both haunted house movies, really. But there's a scene where they're in the kitchen and they move to the new house and they find out that the demon's following
Hmm.
them. But you see the demon's face like half behind him.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
one of the
yeah.
most popular. And my son was sitting in my lap watching it and he just shudders. And it wasn't a jump scare either. It's like he's actually watching this, getting into it.
Yeah. Patrick Wilson, that's it.
Patrick Wilson.
And Rose Byrne. I love Rose Byrne.
But they were both. My 4-year-old was watching it right along with them,
Mm.
so they both were into it, and it was fun for them.
Did they ever ask questions about it? Was the story too complicated for them or anything?
They during the setup they both might have left a room here and there and come back
Mm.
to watch it. Insidious in that last half hour gets pretty intense. So that my son always asks questions when we're watching movies, and half the time it's like just watch it.
Mm.
After you watch it, if you have a question, we'll go over. Don't ask me what's going to happen type questions.
Yeah.
But I try to conversate with him a little in like, oh, this is what happens, and because the Conjuring starts off with like Annabelle, and he has a fascination with Annabelle, and he keeps on like, when's Annabelle coming back? I was like, well, Annabelle's not really a big part of this film, and she just these are the people who found Annabelle, and this is a different type of house they're going to. So he had questions like that, but. Yeah, once things started getting really crazy, he was glued to the seat.
Well, have you thought about showing him the Annabelle movies?
Um, we look up parental guides a lot, and I think the F word's used a few times in Annabelle, and the wife's like,
Oh,
I don't want to watch it, and that's a R as well, but it doesn't seem it probably got R for language.
well, I was thinking you said your laptop is like probably not the best for video editing or anything, but I was gonna say if you can acquire a copy legally, you could do the censoring yourself
Yeah.
and just for the sake of being able to see the movie. So, what'd you see this week, David?
So I saw a film that this just came out in theaters and streaming at the same
Mm-hmm.
time.
Oh.
Um, so it's out there. You can see it either or. It's called In Fabric.
Oh yeah, I saw your review. Yeah.
It's directed by Peter Strickland. Um, it is. I'm a sucker for mid to late '70s and early '80s Italian horror films. Suspiria being one of my favorite films
That's what
ever.
came to mind when you said that.
Yeah. So, but I don't know how much you know about Gialli film.
Nope.
It's an Italian subgenre, which I would say this movie plays a little more towards Suspiria. Giallo is kind of a precursor to American slashers. It's almost like a hybrid between murder mystery and slasher.
Okay.
Um, but the big names Mario Bravo and Dario Argento are the big names in that movement. And that's where Argento started off before he went into Suspiria and more of his supernatural films. But this
Hmm.
film, it's a British film, but it it's almost a love letter to Italian cinema back in the late '70s. It has the look, it has the feel, but it's about a dress that is you never quite know if it's possessed. It come from a department store where the people work there seem like they could be witches.
Hmm.
Some nefarious stuff is going on, but
Hmm.
it's a very surreal film. Um, it's I'm not a big fan of David Lynch, but a lot of people I can believe are going to say it's similar to a David Lynch film. The story isn't exactly linear, and there's just a lot of weird stuff going on. But it's beautiful. If you're a fan of Italian horror, I'll definitely recommend this film. Um, I'm going to have to watch it a second time. I think I might have gave it a 7 7.5, if I remember correctly. Maybe even it might have gotten an 8. I'd have to go back and look, but it's definitely a film I'm gonna have to watch a second time because there's just so much weirdness going on. There's probably stuff that I missed, but it was a fun watch, and it was just a beautiful film to look at. So yeah, if you're into that type of surreal, colorful, weird movie, definitely check it out.
Yeah, when you started talking about Suspiria and stuff, who was it? You that said? Oh yeah, you had messaged me and said that we should do a Suspiria on the old and then the remake. Do a segment on that soon. Yeah, I really want to see the old one in entirety and then watch the second one like immediately after. And then on top of that, some of that other ones that I vaguely remember that you said might be from that genre. I have to go back and listen to our podcast because I stopped taking so many notes for who you said you thought that was from. Argento or the other director that you said was popular for that kind of stuff. It was some eye gouging scene you mentioned. I mentioned.
Lucio Fulci.
Yeah, so I'll have to check if I can figure out which one that is because that was.
Yeah, if you're looking for Italian cinema, it's Mario Bava, Dario Argento, Lucio Fulci. Those three. If you want to start getting into that realm, those are the three directors you want to check out. Obviously, there's more than them, but those are the three heavyweights. Okay. Mario Bava is more of the early influence. He started probably in the 50s, but came to prominence in the 60s. Argento came after him, and Fulci and Argento were counterparts and a little bit of rivalry, but they also like to they tried to work together. So it's kind of a weird dichotomy that went on in that scene.
Are any of these available on like Shudder, or are those like mostly newer movies? They don't have like old classics and stuff.
Shudder actually has a whole selection of Argento films.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they actually have a category for Argento. And there are some Fulci and some Mario Bava films on there, I believe, as well.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's good because I was kind of wondering. It's like, man, these movies are so old. Like, am I going to have to legally acquire them or purchase them or like?
Another one that I watched this week, just to kind of piggyback on this, not to take you out of it, but
yeah, you're doing that. But go ahead.
But I watched Deep Red, which is one of my favorite Argento films. After watching In Fabric, I want to go back and watch some Italian films. So Deep Red is on Shudder.
Well, if I actually watch a bunch, or at least once I end up getting to watch these, we should do a dedication to that movie, like a segment. We could do that too. That's an idea.
Yeah.
The Italian. Is there a name? You said Giallo. I looked it up.
Yeah, Giallo is Italian for yellow. So almost like, people talk about pulp, Pulp Fiction before Pulp Fiction. It's a yellow journalism, that type of thing. They were like the trashy but yet artistic type of films for the day.
Right. Yeah, I see. So they said the term derives from a series of cheap paperback mystery novels with yellow covers that were popular in post-fascist Italy. Okay. Yeah, so I would like to do like a themed one like that. That sounds fun. I want to see some of these old ones.
Yeah, and the thing about those is they have their own logic. You can't go in there. The way Italian filmmaking is totally different than American filmmaking. They want it to be illogical and kind of put you off guard. So sometimes you'll see scenes like that makes absolutely no sense that they did that. But they believe me, they did it on purpose just to mess with your head.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll just start off by saying I did go to a second viewing of Knives Out with my friend Ramon because he didn't see it and I was interested in a second viewing. I wanted to see that again. And it was really good. We did see it at a late show. It was at 10:30. There's some things that came up, so we ended up having to push it. Oh, man. It was hard to stay up that late. I'm not, unless I'm doing editing, it's hard for me to stay up that late. And I ended up like falling asleep a couple times. He woke me up when I started to snore. But I had difficulty staying up because it ended with starting around 10:30. It ended around, I think 1 or 1:45. I got home. So it was rough staying up that late, but it was awesome to see it again. And like, I did notice a lot of stuff that I didn't before. And I loved Chris Evans's acting in that. But the new movie that I saw was Honey Boy. Was this one that you wanted to see?
Yeah, I always like a little Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf. I think it's
We need to give him a
Shia
nickname.
Shia. The LaBeouf. LaBeouf. Shia was in this movie. He's not in this movie. Oh yeah, he is in this movie. What am I saying? So yeah, it's about him and his relationship with his father growing up and his life as a childhood celebrity. And while I didn't look up every reference that was made in the movie, I think there's enough. If you look it up, just like on YouTube, some of like the talks and stuff that he has on Ellen and Oprah and stuff, like he goes into enough about it without giving away too much. Maybe a couple scenes here and there. So just so it's kind of safe for people to look up and find out a little bit of information about it before they go into the movie, because I think it'll help to understand what he's referring to when he talks about his life in the movie. So the kid represents him, and he plays as his father, who is essentially a retired clown, and he does just this amazing performance as him, and it's just so like, just I don't know how to explain it. Like, he's really like, you're just watching him, and he is just alive with this depressing performance about like how he's picturing his father. And he did say that he did meet up with like in an interview, he met up with his father and he told him about the movie. And I think he said initially, he said that Mel Gibson agreed to play him and his father's all excited. And then later on he was like, no, I'm just shitting you, it's me. And his father got all disappointed. But like in real life, the guy is pretty down to earth. Like, yeah, he's a little crazy, but he's very real. And it's kind of messed up, the stuff he went through and the stuff he had to endure as a child. Just, some of these, I'm sure a lot of these child actors have had a lot of similar lives growing up, just that pressure of being a celebrity and whatnot, and not having just a normal childhood. But he definitely had it pretty rough, and it's just so interesting because he plays his father and then has to play against the character who's representing him in his life. So it's really odd to see this other character who's him. Like, I want to see or find more interviews where maybe even they interact between each other, or there's an interview with both of them to find more about like that kid's difficulties or maybe advantages in working, like how he had working on set with Shia, playing as young Shia. But the movie was done really well. And like I said, I have Jess, my wife suggested it, so I was like, well, she really wants to see it, and I was not thoroughly prepared for this child drama movie. So coming out of it, it was really like, it was just so hard. Like, I was thinking about it for a long time. It's just the whole child neglect stuff, and it's just really difficult for me to watch that stuff. But it was very well done, and it was very moving, very touching. And I really liked it. I think I gave it an 8 or an 8.5 in the group.
Now, is this something that would is it a biopic or is it kind of based around?
I mean, it is him. He is playing. Shia is playing his father. His father is still alive, as far as I remember. I think those interviews are very recent, and he is. He wrote the story, and I think for the most part, he changed some of the names of people who were involved, and he combined a couple characters and made them into one character. So it's not an identical copy of his life, but it's so closely resembling what he went through that in interviews he's able to just say like, yeah, that was this, that was like, that was me, that was real. Like there's a lot of scenes between him and his father and a lot of dialogue that he says are, you know, exactly as he recalls it and how he went over it with his father and stuff. And it was it's really heartbreaking to watch some of that stuff. It was hard to watch in a good way. Just you know, like, because you say like, oh, it was really hard to watch. It sounds bad. I had to say like in a good way. It was hard to watch because it's just that kid delivered it really good. His acting is just so like that kid's so cute and he's so sweet. And then like just to see him in that situation, like, oh my gosh, I don't know, it was really hard.
Yeah, I was thinking that is it very pretentious for like a 32 or whatever year old guy to make a life story?
I think
are
you'll
you that
like it.
important?
I think you'll like it. I think you'll be surprised. I wasn't sure how I'd feel about it either because I was like, oh, it's his story. He's in it. But I think there's some, like to watch it, to go through the movie and see the kind of relationship he had with his father, and then for him to make the decision to play as his father, like that's pretty huge. Like that's big. And he talks about after the fact how it really helped him understand what his father like went through trying to raise him and the difficulties that he had being a vet and with the drug issues and things and alcoholism that he was dealing with, having to take care of this kid and try to get him through the TV industry and whatnot, you know, as a celebrity, and being a failure himself, you know, trying to get his kid and, you know, seeing his kid become more successful than he ever was. Like, so there's a lot of these combating feelings that he was combating all these feelings, and he said he learned a lot that way, and it was really touching, you know, knowing that stuff and watching it going through. Like you see it in Shia's acting, like it just really feels like he's feeling for his father while playing that role, and it hurts.
All right, we'll go to my next film, and I think we'll talk about Freaks. Freaks. It's a 2000. I think it's a 2019. I get probably 18. It got released it got released in 2015, just festivals. It wasn't released until a couple in September of this year, wide release. So I still consider that a 2019 release. Let me preference this by saying that it's hard to talk about this film at all without giving away some mild spoilers. So if you really want to get into this movie, you might want to fast forward a little bit, and I'll try to be
tight-lipped as possible.
I'll be try to be as tight-lipped as possible. Because it's so hard because they try to keep a lot of the plot under wraps until maybe the second act.
Holy cow!
But it's a film that it starts off as a young girl. Her and her father, the girl's played by Lexi Kokler, and the father is Emil Hirsch. And they're inside of this abandoned old house, and the windows are boarded up and everything's locked down, and he won't let her out. He's trying to teach her himself, homeschool, and he keeps on basically telling her that the people out there want to kill her, and he's trying to teach her how to be normal in case she ever has to go out there. So in these types of films, she eventually gets curious enough to go out. But the best way I can describe this film, I think I reviewed it. It's a mixture of like an X-Men origin type story.
Yeah, that's what you said. Yeah,
with the film The Room, which I'm sorry, Room, not The Room, not the
yeah,
not the one of my other favorite films, but Room, with Brie Larson, who if you're fans of the Marvel Universe, know she's Captain Marvel. But but I didn't expect. I went into this totally blind. I saw some things calling it like a science fiction horror. I didn't see any horror. Wikipedia calls it a science fiction thriller, which I can understand that a lot more. Um, if you're kind of sick and tired of superhero films and like to see something a little different, um, that's why I went to Brightburn, and I didn't really like Brightburn. I thought it was a cool premise that wasn't executed well, but they did this film. They did this film. They executed the premise pretty well. If you're into superhero films, I feel you will enjoy this as more of one of those smaller little indie type films. I gave it a 6.5, which is still a decent rating. It's by far not a perfect film, but it was a fun little film to watch.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen Emil Hirsch out and about. I was surprised when you said that. I didn't know he was in the movie.
Yeah, he's really good in the film. The little girl Lexi Kolker, Kolker.
Mm.
Um, uh, she's like 7, 8 years old. She was very strong little actress in this. And Bruce Dern. Bruce Dern's always good in whatever he's in. So the acting is good. It's a fun watch. I think you would really like this.
If there's anything, oh, what? Just because superheroes, I like superheroes. Raj loves superheroes. That way, because I feel like this whole superhero genre is getting reaching a bit to the overdone limit. There's a lot of movies coming out where like, oh, they have powers. Oh, they have powers. Oh, we all have powers. Like, you have powers. I have powers. Mutants powers. Like, it's like, okay, I see where it's going. But I'll take your recommendation. I'll look
Well,
into
when it
it.
comes to storylines, I always like to explore more because they weren't just battling each other; they were battling humanity's outlook on them.
Racism. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a take on that.
yeah. So that's and this goes more towards that than Avengers. You know, it's not we're trying to save humankind from all this terrible stuff. It's really an us versus them type of story.
Right. Okay. All right. I will give that a look. So the other movie I saw was Calibre. Have you seen this yet?
Oh, is that the British kind of horror film?
Yeah. So two guys, two buddies head out. Where do they go? It's Irish countryside, somewhere anyway. That's not important. But they head out to on a hunting trip, and something goes terribly wrong. And this another one, because I don't watch trailers. I haven't watched trailers in years for movies that I want to watch. So I find movies that got good ratings or whatever, and I'll check it out. And I did not see this coming. I just heard that it was rated well, and it was pretty recent. So I gave it a shot. The acting was, it's pretty straightforward up until it happens, and then, man, I did not see that coming, and it just takes a huge like U-turn, and things just get tense and tense. And I had so many ways for the twist to go or for the plot to go. I was like, oh, that's actually this, or like, oh, they know what's going on, and it didn't turn out that way. And I did not see the end coming. I mean, it wasn't. I wouldn't say it was the greatest horror movie, but I would say it was definitely definitely done well. It was a good story. It's worth a watch for sure. I would give it a 7. The acting was really well. I've never seen any of these guys before, but yeah, all the acting. There was the whole little bit of a creepy town vibe and the creepy locals, and yeah, it was good. It was a fun watch. It was better than I thought it was going to be. It's been sitting in my list like forever. Finally got around to it. There's a number of those that are sitting in my list like that.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the better Netflix released horror films.
It was a Netflix movie. I forgot. Yeah.
Yeah, they've done a few good releases, and it was very strong, and yeah, I enjoyed it. I haven't watched it. I think I watched it when it first came out, but it was one of the better horror films in 2018.
Mm. Yeah, that one, and then I have yet to see Cargo. I got to watch Cargo.
I have not seen that one yet.
I heard.
Have you seen The Apostle?
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy. That was the other. It was a flip a coin. It was between Apostle or Caliber that I was gonna watch. But yeah,
Now I know you
Apostle was
don't
the
like.
other one.
I know you don't like Green Room, but it's by the same director. He
Oh,
also did Blue Ruin, which is a brilliant film if you haven't seen that one. But
that sounds familiar.
it's a really good period cult type film. But
I don't
yeah,
know.
Apostle's very good movie. I think that might be. I think that's a 2018. So
Mm.
that was a good one.
It's not Paul the Apostle starring what's that guy's name?
Paul the
Cavini.
No, it's just
Paul.
the Apostle. Just the
Paul.
Apostle. Or it might just be Apostle.
It's just Apostle.
Yeah.
Uh, Paul the Apostle starring. Oh God, what is that guy's name? I love his name.
Paul.
Cavinci. Who was in Frequency?
You're better
Paul
with the
the
actors' names than I am.
Jim Caviezel. That's it. I was like Jim Caviezel. Name doesn't ring a
Oh.
bell. Do you remember Frequency with him and Dennis Quaid? That's one of my favorite movies of all time too.
Yeah,
Another
yeah.
time travel-ish movie. Yeah, no, that is Paul the Apostle, not the same movie.
Is it about Paul the Apostle?
It in fact is about Peter the Apostle. No, I don't know. I don't know a joke for that. It is about Paul the Apostle, I assume. And he came on TV briefly, and I didn't watch it. 94% loved it, though.
Yeah, I always like fiction films.
Nice. All right,
Well,
your turn.
I really want to talk about the death of Dick Long, but I can't.
Why? Someone has sworn you to against it?
No, it's just that's another film you cannot talk about without giving away the most major plot point.
So Dick Long, is this very phallic oriented, this movie? Because this name of this movie and then the picture looks like a joke.
Are you gonna watch it?
If you recommend it, I will consider it, sir. So don't tell me too much if that's where you're going with this.
It's just so hard to you can't really talk about it without.
Okay. I like a little bit mystery.
Because there's a twist in the middle of the film, which...
Oh, I don't even want to know that. Forget it. We're done. Because then I'll be expecting it, you know? Like,
if you say you're never going to watch it, I would tell you off air, because it's great. It's absolutely... It's brilliant.
What did you rate it?
I'm not saying the whole film is great, brilliant. I probably gave it a 7. The premise...
I'll watch it.
Because you can't even give the premise without... I don't even know how they wrote premises. I don't even know how they wrote reviews.
Can you tell me what happens in the first 5 minutes? Or does that ruin everything?
First 5 minutes, it starts off as some guys playing like in their garage, they're like a band. They're just practicing. And then they start partying afterwards. That's where the cover with the guy, shooting like the Roman candle out of his crotch. They're just drinking, smoking pot, doing stupid stuff. And then it cuts to 2 guys going to a hospital and like dragging a body out of the car as the guy who's injured. It's their friend. So you have no idea why he's injured. You just know he's bleeding a lot. And they drop him in front of the hospital and take off. So you don't know why he's injured. And within the first 5, it's the death of Dick Long. So obviously the guy dies.
Well, not obviously.
Well, you can't. But that's like in the first 5-10 minutes.
Okay.
But it's almost.
And then the movie ends. That's it. He's dead.
Like if you've watched a lot of like Coen brothers, like Fargo and Simple Plan, like the Oh Brother Wherefore Art Thou, like the kind of comedic criminal everything can go wrong does type film.
Okay.
It's
along those lines.
Raising Arizona, those type of. but the reason why he's injured is what is.
I really don't have much else left. I really just have the last thing I saw this week was Playmobil, that looks like a Lego movie ripoff. Oh my God, this movie. So first of all, it's not like Lego movie where did you ever see Lego movie with your kids or alone?
I saw the first one.
Yeah, so you can see how, Chris Pratt and then Elizabeth Banks, there was some talent involved. And it was sort of, like it's for kids, but they do comedy enough to where, yeah, adults can enjoy watching it with their kids. You know what I mean? Like that kind of animation and stuff. This seemed very much directed towards children. It was very child directed. There was it wasn't like Shrek or anything coming out and with all the weird innuendo that, oh, kids won't understand. It's okay. It wasn't like that at all. Very, very childish. My kids liked the songs. I didn't think they were all that great. If I had to stare at that Anya girl's face throughout the whole movie, I was probably going to barf. I couldn't do it. Her super cheese was too much. In the first 5 minutes, I was like, I don't know if I can make it through this movie. And then a little bit of a twist happens, which I don't think is a huge giveaway because it happens. But there's the two kids. There's the older daughter, and she has a younger brother that she looks after. And she's talking about all the things she wants to do before college and stuff. And then police come to the door, and they find out their parents died in an accident, a car accident. And I was like, whoa, this took a dark turn. And fast forward like 4 years, and she's now raising her little brother and stuff, and all that kind of whimsical behavior is like gone from her personality, and now has all these responsibilities, and her brother wants to kind of be more of like that child, have more of a childhood, and she's trying to be the parent and stuff like that. And so then it leads into like sort of that 90s kind of kids movies where like the kids get sucked into this imaginary world. Whoa. And, like that whole thing. And that's what happens, basically. They get, they just get sucked into this world of this Lego ripoff world of Playmobil. And I think those are actual products. Like Playmobil is an actual thing. Like Lego, they have Playmobil. But it just... Yeah, it's not like they were just ripping off Lego like that. I think it's an actual toy line. And so they get sucked into that world, and then whatever, boring. It's not.
So we're just waiting for the Lincoln Logs film.
Oh my God. Yeah, why not?
Genetics.
Every character is just a Lincoln Log. Is that your script? I would watch that still. I would probably end up watching that with my kids.
We gotta love our kids to sit through this stuff, huh?
Yeah, I'll sit through it, but don't blame me if I fall asleep.
I don't think my parents ever watched that shit.
No, they didn't. No, my parents didn't watch shit with me. They had issues with me watching anything half the time. They were just like, shouldn't you be studying?
Oh. Well, I saw more, but I'll go with this last film.
Pick a good one.
This is a film I had a lot of high hopes for, but didn't really. Aww. I had high hopes for it because it came from Spectre Vision, which is that's Eli what's his face? Elijah Wood's company. Okay. They've also produced Mandy, which we talked about a little bit earlier. So I had some high hopes for it, but it didn't really do it for me. But it's directed by Adam Egypt Mortimer, and it's starring Miles Robbins and Patrick Schwarzenegger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's Arnie's son.
Little Arnie.
And from certain angles, you can definitely see the resemblance. He's not built like his dad at all, but in his face, you can definitely see. I guess that's his and Maria Shriver's child.
I was gonna say, is the mother Maria, or is this the illegitimate?
No, this isn't this isn't the housekeeper's kid. I don't think.
He was the
That
man with needs.
yeah, that's not That's not Alejandro Schwarzenegger. This one is.
You think he's gonna get the last name? That's hopeful.
I don't give my bastard sons.
Was that your Schwarzenegger impression?
But
That's Alejandro.
But the film starts off with a little kid. He's witnessing his parents fight. His mom seems on the brink of being violent, like she might have some mental issues. And then he kind of walks out, and during the same moment, he walks down the street and sees the aftermaths of a mass shooting. So it's a pretty bad day for this kid.
How old is you say kid, but how old is his actor?
I would say between 6 and 8, somewhere around there.
Oh, young kid. I thought he was already a teen.
Well, but this is how the movie starts, and
okay.
You know, with all this trauma, he conjures up an imaginary friend. The kid doesn't have many friends, and so it's an imaginary friend, and the imaginary friend starts off like, oh, everything's great. He's, you know, it's his best friend, and then gets him to do something really bad, which leads him to locking up this imaginary friend in a dollhouse he has in his room. It skips forward to when he's in college, and he is seeing a shrink. He's having some mental issues, and the shrink kind of tells him, you know, maybe you need to go back and explore this. So he lets this imaginary friend out.
You are just like
this is the first 15 minutes.
Oh, really? This sounds like we're already halfway through the movie.
No. This is the first 15 minutes of the film. This is the setup.
Okay. So I'm like, well, damn, David.
So he lets out this imaginary friend and starts off nice, and then bad things happen. I think this film is probably going to offend some people. Reason being that, you know, unrightfully so. I understand we have mental illness issues and they should be taken seriously. But when you're doing a movie, if you have somebody with, you know, mental issues causing a ruckus, it's a fucking movie. There are people with mental issues that cause a ruckus, so it's not like it never happens. But I can see people bashing it because it depicts somebody with mental illness doing bad things. Which it probably already gotten reviews about that. But
I mean, it does involve, like you said, there was a post scene at a mass shooting, so maybe the whole correlation from mental illness and mass shooting isn't too big of a leap for people to get that trigger going, you know.
Yeah, he has some. Well, they touch on schizophrenia, which with the imaginary friend, you know, hearing voices and stuff. That's what they really try to touch on. But the main problem with the film is if they would have kept it like imaginary friend, mental illness, you know, him causing ruckus, that would have been, you know, a compelling movie. Could have had you could have had some more insight into mental illness causing darkness in people's lives, but it gets into a supernatural element, which I think was very unneeded. But at the same time, when they're showing the supernatural stuff, it's done really well. It's shot well. I like it. It's almost, some of it's almost like dream sequence. They have some, you know, some monsters in the corners, and it's practical makeup, and it looks really, really good.
Which you're a fan of.
Yeah, but for me, I think going that route kind of takes away from the whole story. It was just added on there, and I think I wrote my review. It was trying to be art house horror, but it wasn't smart enough to really be in that area. It's a pretentious film. It's and I don't use that word lightly. It's a lot less smart than what it thinks it is, and it just comes off as feeling like it's just annoying at times. And The
Do you
acting,
feel? I was gonna say, do you feel like this was in the wheelhouse of the director or the producer, or did you feel like this was like a whole different concept than what this guy is used to?
I think, is trying to cash in on this psychological horror
Mm,
boom that we have going on. Um, I think it would have been better just trying to make it as a straight up horror movie.
mm,
Um, you know, turn it into like a serial killer type film, something like that. Instead of bringing in elements that really kind of just bogged the plot down. I think the script was kind of uneven. Um, Schwarzenegger, I believe this is his first acting performance, but his acting is uneven too. He just seems kind of like an entitled douche, which he's probably not far from the reality of the situation, to tell you the truth. But uh,
mm.
but he just seems like entitled. He seems kind of like a one of those bro type frat boys, and he doesn't create enough menace. Schwarzenegger plays the imaginary friend, and he just doesn't bring enough menace to the character. He just seems
Mm.
more like a douchebag, and
He's very tame.
yeah, and it seems like he tries to bring the menace, but he's just not very good at it. Now, Mary Stuart Masterson, who we don't see in enough films, I think she's a very competent actress. She plays the main character. The main character's name's Luke. Plays the mom, who has mental issues, and so is showing like some kind of hereditary type thing with mental issues. But I think she is the standout in the film. We don't get enough time with her, and I think if they fleshed out that character more, they would probably deal with a lot less backlash about people thinking that it's exploiting mental illness, because I think
Right.
her character was done really well. And that's what probably a
Mm.
lot of people will say, it's exploiting mental illness, and I think that's just people being way too sensitive. Um, you
Yeah,
know,
I mean, I get why people would think that, even just hearing your review and what it's about roughly. Like, I get why people will think that. I think it's just the time and the age, the time it's coming out, and that's just such a hot button topic. Were this to come out, 10 years ago or 15 years ago, it wouldn't even like click in people's heads that, oh, this is trying to be controversial. Like, I don't know for sure, but maybe they're not. I mean, it's possible that they weren't attempting to be controversial, or maybe they are in order to get some, buzz going about the movie.
I think if we start catering movies to the lowest common denominator in the intelligence department, you're killing art. If you're the type of person who watches a movie with somebody who has mental issues and doing bad things, and now you think all people with mental issues do bad things, that person's the problem. The film's not the problem.
Oh yeah, I mean,
So
yeah,
why should we
that's
cater to those idiots? If you made a film and a black character was the antagonist, and you think now that all black people are bad, you're the fucking problem. It's not the film's problem.
right. Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, if you are instantly led to believe those things like wholeheartedly after seeing a movie, then I just don't. I think you need to have a better grip on reality before seeing movies. Yeah, unless it's not reporting itself to be a documentary or
No.
solid facts or anything. It's entertainment value.
Like, can we not
That,
have
yeah.
an evil gay character?
Why not? Oh, what do you mean? Because
It
then
just
people will view
because
gay
the people,
people
oh,
as
you
evil.
have, now they're going to think all gay people are evil. No,
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. People get carried away like that.
no, it's just a movie, and guess
Mm.
what? There are bad gay people. They're great gay people. There's bad people with mental issues. There's awesome people with mental issues. There's there's
Those
greatness and shitness in every form of people.
like Brad Pitt from Seven Monkeys. He was awesome. He was
Yeah,
he was a little loony.
yeah. It's hey, some of our best artists have some mental issues.
You mean
I mean,
like painters?
oh, painters. I mean, Hemingway. Hemingway killed himself, and one
Mm.
of the greatest writers in the history of of our country. Obviously, he had some mental issues.
I mean, or maybe he knew something we didn't, David. We don't have to dive into that. Wait, were you waiting for me to drop some like?
I just thought of Farewell to Arms after you said that and thinking about Way shooting himself. Oh, too soon. But
too soon.
But yeah, in my tangent, just people are too sensitive. A movie is a movie, and I will call foul when I think someone's being exploited through a film, or something's just stereotypical and mean spirited. But you can have bad people be any type of person in a film, and not be exploitive or stereotypical.
There was one movie, now that you mentioned that, I wanted to mention it the other day. I don't know if it's going to get released eventually, but did you hear about that movie, The Hunt, that was supposed to come out?
That sounds familiar. Was that the one with the school shooting, or had something weird about it, right?
So it was it got cut from its release date. It was supposed to come out in, maybe that sounds right. But it was, so the premise of the movie is basically hunting season by, I think the victims were going to be liberals, and the enemies, or the predatorial characters, were basically Republicans. That's what they were representing, like rich white folk. And so there was like this big backlash about that movie coming out after the trailer was released, saying that, oh, it's going to cause, it's going to like justify that type of action and stuff like that. And while it sort of made some sense, I mean, I've seen some of the outcome at some of these rallies and stuff, but I don't know if I entirely believe that kind of shit would happen or would go down. But I really want to see how this movie, how bad they felt this movie would affect people now.
Well, there was people calling for the Joker not to be released.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when we see the film, all the media shit behind it was nonsense.
Yeah. After I saw it, I was like, this is whatever.
It was the opposite of what they said it was going to cater to.
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion, it was the opposite of the incels, and they're going to latch on to this. I don't see that at all. And guess what? No theaters got shot up or anything.
Yeah. So, yeah, I took it as like they were trying to say that they were supporting that. They were supporting violent behavior by people with mental illness. Like there's some sympathy for them, but no, I didn't see that controversy out of it. And we did a quick discussion on that in our unaired pilot, which I've been meaning to. I have to cut up and start posting that as like bonus clips.
Yeah, people are just so sensitive about art, and I think great art usually kind of combats and pushes at those super sensitive people anyway. It walks the line. Yeah. And again, I never watch a film and then generalize people based off of that film.
Yeah, I don't know who does. Like I said, it's strange, but they must be out there.
I watch Harold and Kumar now. All Indians and Asian kids just get stoned and don't do well in school. That's like the opposite, isn't it?
It's 100% accurate. Actually, that movie is based on my life, and no, it's not at all. Yeah, Harold and
you
Kumar.
Related to Kumar?
Kumar. I mean, from an anthropological perspective, probably, but. I just remember that one scene when you brought that up, that cop, he's like, how do you spell that? Like, K and like 2 O's, and he's trying to Kumar. And then he's like, my name's Harold. He's like, yeah, there's a real American named Harold.
And I never heard the Indian community complaining that we finally get a big star in a movie and he's a stoner.
Yeah. Calpen. Nobody's looking him to represent our people.
No, because
Not that prestigious.
It's like, yeah, we got a lot more important things going on than worried about
He's dead.
Kumar.
He's dead to me. He after he left House for to help Obama, which for a good cause. He helped out Obama, great. But I wanted him to stick around in House. I had some. He had some good potential on that show. It's like you're dead to me,
Cal
Cal.
Penn in anything in a while.
Yeah, there's probably a good reason for that. Nobody wants to see him. Whatever.
Oh man, our cancel culture that we live in, it's just I find it funny and frustrating at the same time.
It's interesting because eventually that's going to be the trendy thing. Like, how close can you get to getting canceled? Like, what's going to be like? What's that razor's edge? Like, that seems to be the cool thing for comedians to do now. Everyone's kind of touching that edge, and then oh, I'm gonna get canceled, and then then they go back and they're all safe, and then they go touch it again. Like, it's just to be controversial. Like, it's cool now.
It was like Dave Chappelle 10 years ago. He's like the counterculture going against a man. Then he comes out his new comedy, a special in counterculture era, and now he is the evil. Gotta love it.
You have an option to. It's your choice. Don't be so forceful, all right?
And folks, we are liberals saying this stuff.
Yeah, you're just grouping me up with you. Yeah, I don't know. I said I wouldn't talk politics, but I've left a lot of that anti-Trump stuff in that we keep saying and dropping MAGA stuff that we keep making fun of.
All you have to say is that you're a minority in LA, dude. You're already pegged.
That's true. I've been surprised by some. I've met some black folk who are really pro-Trump, and I'm like, wow. And I don't understand it, but I'm like, whatever. That's you, man. You do you. I don't want to know you, but you're free to do you. Don't come around my house. I don't want to see yours. I mean, well, I'm going to cut that out. Oh, I forgot to mention this at the top of the show. A couple of days ago, I had my the annual PP Touch exam.
Okay.
For insurance, and this is probably the second time there was no PP Touch involved. So, it's always, I don't know if it's nice because the thing is,
You feel rejected.
I felt well. It was kind of like, I think it's an important part to check the pee-pee, and the first time it didn't happen, I was over 28. I think. Well, no, I was married just for a while, so I was probably 30 or 32, and the doctor made it really awkward, and he put on the gloves and everything, and then it looked like he was going to ask me to pull down my my boxers, and he was going to do the whole pee-pee touch, and then he was like, "You're fine, right? Like you don't have any problems, right?" And
he thought about it and backed out.
Yeah, he's just like, "You're fine," right? I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know." He's like, "Yeah, any pain, urination, or anything strange going on?" I'm like, "No, I don't think so." And he was like, "Yeah, that's okay then. We don't need it." And so he just takes the glove right off. And at first I was like, "Oh yeah, that's pretty cool." And then I left, and as I'm driving home, I'm like, "No, I don't think that's cool because this is my health exam. I think it might be important that I get the official actual pee-pee touching done." And I felt a bit, and then I was like, "Wait, do I smell? Like, was there a reason? Like, does he normally do this check and there was something about me that he was like, oh, I don't want to have to touch this guy." So this time it sort of just glazed over. He never even mentioned the whole pee-pee touch portion, and I was just kind of like, we were just talking about, he's talking about my activity level and stuff, and then it just didn't come up. He's talked about prostate exams and what age and stuff, but it never came up, and I was kind of like, should I bring it up? Like, is that too forward of a patient?
Be a little too... Hey, doc.
And he's about to leave. He's like, "Oh, you forgot the pee-pee touch. I'm right here." And I'm just like, I dropped the robe. I'm just like naked. And he's like, "Oh, okay. You insist." But I didn't know how to feel about it, and I don't know, the whole pee-pee touch thing.
Hey Doc, is this something about me?
Yeah, is it me? Should I wear cologne next time? Should I dim the lights before you come in? The mood wasn't right for this guy. Because I was kind of conflicted because I would rather not the whole pee-pee touch, but it's my health, right? I should care. I think I should have done it. I had to go.
Right now, you're all right.
Yeah, you're probably fine. You're not complaining about any pee-pee stuff, so.
You don't need a colon exam. You're not shitting blood or anything. Right now, you're good.
Yeah. Well, apparently that's what, 48, 54. When is that? I forget what he said. He said 45 or something. 40 for prostate, 45 for colon exam. Man, that's scary.
Yep. I guess I gotta start doing fingers up my ass here soon.
It's not just pleasure, okay? There's actually a procedure. So get it professionally done.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't just Jimbo down the street.
Sir, you were here last week for a prostate exam. Why are you back in my office?
You're like, listen, who do I got?
You don't need it checked weekly.
You're just slipping him 20s. Like, listen, I need a prostate exam.
I want you to look in my eyes while you're doing it.
Which is a bit of a challenge. There needs to be a mirror involved with that. All right, that's our show for the week, guys. I'd like to thank our special guest, Alex Kalinsky, for joining us for our top lists and our short little segment on Marriage Story. That was a lot of fun. You've been listening to Coast to Coast Film Reviews. I'm Raj. Have a good night.
And this is David. Have a great time of day.
I thought you were going to do a voice. Have a good time of day. You've been listening to Coast Film Reviews. I'm Raj. Have a good time of day. Just what are you gargling balls over there?
That's what he sounds like.